Hi, Yuri.
Hey, Michael, how's it going, man?
Good, thanks. How are you?
All good on my side. So let's wait for a couple of minutes. Maybe somebody will join, but I do not expect today anybody else, to be honest. Some remote. We have a
Yeah.
couple of people on vacation and overall busy. So, anything exciting on your side at the same time in general?
Yeah. Well, we implemented external DNS provider webhook for infoblogs.
Oh, yeah. Let's
Yeah.
chat about it when people join. That's interesting. Yeah, I'll put it on agenda. So let's make it to the news. New info blocks. Hey, no, how's it going, my friend?
Oh, guys,
I know.
how are you?
All
Long
good,
time
all
no
good.
see.
Yeah, all good in Portugal.
Good, sunny, and a great time not to be working.
Thanks for joining the meeting in these hard conditions.
I see.
All right, let's, I think, officially uh, kick this meeting out. I'll share my screen. Please, as usual, add yourself to agenda. I'll share the link in the Zoom chat. Whenever I find the Zoom bar. Yep, that's the one. Oh, Renar. Hello. How's it going?
Hello.
Super happy to have you here.
Hi there.
Hey, how's it?
Good
All
for
good, all
mine.
good. Yeah. So, let's start. I hope I'm sharing. I think I'm sharing. Yeah. So first thing first, some news. Uh, I did some cosmetics kind of marketing style updates on KGB. Thanks a lot to KGB.io website and associated with me because we have GitHub pages, right? So thanks a lot to Michal for review last week. So the main chunks are basically really about marketing part. It's a newest presentations next to all the KubeCons and all that stuff. So we had a presence on North America and Europe, and all the previous ones, some blog posts that are very high visible, and the recent one is from China, right? So it brought like plus 100 GitHub stars, like just by one publication. So it was super cool, and book two editions that are directly mentioning KGB. So if you, for example, click here and look for KGB, so implement KGB for worldwide traffic distribution mastery. I didn't write that, so it's cool to see, right? So that's amazing that we going into the next iteration of that book. Apparently, authors got some good feedback about that chapter, so all good there. And yeah, it is feedback in LinkedIn by the author of the blog post about KGB, the one that brought the stars, right? And we passed the threshold of 800, so good visibility. So overall, good sentiment to our architecture, right? So it's not obvious for people that we can steer this traffic just, by automating DNS in this neat manner that KGB does. So yeah, that's it for the news. And Michael, please take the stage and maybe you can share the news about new webhook, what it's all about. Do you want to share your screen if you want to go through the code? I'll stop sharing for a while. Michal, you're on mute.
Sorry. Can you see my screen?
Yep, all good.
Yeah. Maybe I will need to jump in from dinner in some cases. Basically, there is under the APSA OSS, which is public APSA repo, is external DNS infoblox webhook. And basically, this webhook was developed for our internal purposes. External DNS now uses the providers as the webhooks, and this webhook is running, from my understanding, as a sidecar for the external DNS. And basically, it's just simple webhook containing a couple of simple endpoints which are used to talk to the infoblox HDNS server. Basically, all happens here in the internal infoblox, and we are implementing a simple interface that provides the communication with the infoblox. And yeah, that's it. I think there are no more stuffs in the high concept that I can say. Maybe if Dinar want to tell something. At the moment, we made a PR, or Dinar made a PR to external DNS to provide the link to the official infoblox provider.
Yeah, it's merged, by the way.
It's much cool.
Yeah, and now they are talking about to delete the provider from entry. Yeah, so I basically came this to discuss this thing because it's kind of affects the k8gb implicitly. I know we have the k8gb, the external DNS forked, but with this kind of move to webhooks, the contributions to providers should become easier. So the communities will be separate. It's just the webhooks will talk the implement the REST API. The external DNS will consume, and so the load on the external DNS maintainers should be significantly reduced. So there is no new changes accepted to whatsoever provider, and that actually affects all providers, including Azure, AWS, and the rest of Cloudflare and stuff like that. So at some point, the k8gb will need to probably switch to external DNS helm chart as the dependency, the same way we do for core DNS, and instrument the helm values to enable the webhook provider and specify an image, basically the provider settings, and stuff like that. So that should, I know the AWS is migrated to a webhook that was done by Rafa directly as the first class citizen to the most commonly used provider in external DNS. I'm not sure about the Azure. I know we have the external DNS forked for the Azure NS support. I was thinking about the past few days about the external DNS NS record support for Infoblox. I don't know, for some reason this idea doesn't leave my mind. And we'll try and the third time to implement that support, because I think I gained enough experience to understand what's going on now, how the DNS endpoints are transferred to provider records and back. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
So that's interesting news. So can you explain the deployment model in case of this new style of external DNS providers? So is it like admission? Like do you deploy both external DNS and the set
No,
of
no, no.
associated
It's purely REST API. So it's external DNS have a abstraction saying, hey, I have a webhook provider. So it's no longer provider AWS, it's provider webhook. And then whoever sits on behind that endpoint, right? Localhost port 888 should implement the REST API endpoints, records, adjust endpoints, records, post, and the health check. And it's transparent to external DNS, what provider sits behind that webhook. And it could be AWS, it could be, they just need to implement the common interface. They should talk to in DNS endpoints, right? So the JSON with the on a records get, the provider returns the DNS endpoints list from the provider, and then on a records post, the provider should accept the plan in external DNS, like what records needs to be changed, updated, deleted, whatsoever, and act accordingly. So it's a transparency to, it's really transparent to external DNS, what it talks to. It's up to a webhook to implement the provider specific details.
That's actually cool. So like it's the same API, right? Consistent API, but the implementation is abstracted and the implementation is encapsulated within a webhook. So external DNS users are dealing with a single CRD. Is that correct? Or like same set of CRDs?
Well, there is no CRD, right? I mean, there are sources in external DNS. It could be service, it could be ingress, it could be API gateway, it could be CRD.
It's an our case CRD. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which external DNS layer grabs the endpoints and stores them as the DNS endpoint in memory internal representation. That's a common data structure. It kind of parses, processes, whatever, and then it talks those objects, it sends those objects to a provider and expects the provider to receive the same data, kind of data, type of data. Yeah.
And can you run multiple webhook providers in parallel, or?
I'm not sure. Probably not. There is I think there is a feature request, but I'm not sure. Once all providers will be gone from entry, I believe they will focus on something like core features, plan optimization, sources but now they're talking about splitting the sources as well. So the API gateway, for example, will be again the webhook, or ingresses, or Istio, for example, will be multiple source providers, I would say. And the job of that source provider would be to provide you kind of, again, the unified data. Just, yeah, I think that's the future of that project.
I think we've seen some hard-coded dedicated port in external DNS. So one port mean one provider. So I think only one provider can be running at the moment, not multiple in parallel.
Yeah, and so just to double check, this webhook is totally like it's not injected into any form of Kubernetes submission, right? It's purely talking to external DNS scenario. My concern here in general with any form of webhooks and Kubernetes, if they die, they block an admission. But it seems that in this case, it's not a case at all, right? Because it happens all in the background, and there is no webhook is not involved in admission chain.
No, it's not admission. It's purely
Okay,
a web service. It's
perfect,
purely a web
perfect.
service. It's a purely they recommend to listen that webhook to localhost, so only a sidecar. Well, the only external DNS is accessible that API. We had this, but the health checks are not accessible for the kubelet. So yeah, there is one problem to solve. So right now the webhooks have to be listened on all interfaces, meaning the API is exposed to outside of the pod, but that's due to the health check. So I still need to solve it somehow.
Yeah, that's in any case, it's cool direction. So I see like a two kind of almost immediate benefits. We can, assuming we switch to the latest external DNS whenever it's possible, given the support. I expect like different level of support of new stuff with the providers, but whenever we are ready, we can not like care about the entry implementation currently like Azure NS, right? So we can implement it in a webhook in a more lightweight scenario. So deprecate that, theoretically deprecate our own fork in a ideal case, right? So not maintaining it anymore. And we also, I assume, with the new Infoblox webhook, you guys are targeting to deprecate in-tree Infoblox code base in k8gb itself, right? The very initial one. Is that correct? So we have a
Yeah, but
special snowflake pass there. Yeah.
Yeah, that would require the NS support.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, it's my dream to implement it, but I don't know whether that would be possible. And time-wise, so far right now we're focusing on the API efficiency because we talking tens of thousands of the records to manage with the external DNS. And yeah, so the next priority to me would be the API efficiency. So we won't kill the provider, the DNS server, the API. But yeah, at some point, I have ideas how that could look like. It just needs some time and some love to try and test.
Cool stuff. And from a NS implementation in Infoblox, I implemented it in a k8gb code base, like, I don't know, 4 years ago. So very like, distant memories. But if I recall correctly, the very special stuff in Infoblox was that they abstracting the zone delegation. So I wasn't able to directly create NS record with that form of API, at least 4 years ago. I'm sure maybe it evolved somehow now, but they provided like some form of zone delegation abstraction on top. So basically they created NS and A record for you, but you have to talk with some special abstraction, not a standard NS and GUI record records. And that's exactly why it didn't match the original external DNS model, right? So, and Infoblox itself didn't allow a direct NS NA GUI record propagation, and they provided an abstraction for doing so in a form of zone delegation, something like similarly semantical matching main name, and it was totally like nothing to implement an external DNS because Infoblox is very special. It's not in any DNS. Zone delegation itself as abstraction is not in any DNS service or something. It's a kind of Infoblox special automation thing. So you might fit it during implementation again. So hopefully they may be allowing a direct NS record propagation now. So yeah. But in any case, current implementation is available in k8gb, so like you can potentially reuse it, at least part of it in a webhook.
Yeah, I mean that webhook for you guys would be interested in to explore what's the state of the Azure provider. If it's not maintained, maybe you know, it's always better to maintain that kind of webhook rather than the fork and work on it. But pretty sure the Azure must be implemented already because the transition is almost one-to-one. It's an interface. It's just you need to expose current interface, the provider interface, the provider implements through the REST API. That's it. We did the info blocks. We spent how many days? 3 days with Mikhail. It was like super easy. So with the provider about Azure, it's really easy to run your own custom image, you know, with the provider to add an NS record support, for example, rather than pulling the whole external DNS thing, because there are security fixes, etc., etc. So someone might find it better if the webhook is not yet there. Just create one, and rather than maintaining the fork. That's my kind of idea.
Yeah, totally agree. Even like with full fork maintenance and current NS record support for Azure, it basically I cannot finish it because it's a ton of conflicts with all unrelated in-tree updates. So isolating the code base will be a breeze. So yeah, I'm all for that.
So do we have the volunteers or the stakeholders who will benefit directly with that? So who's going to do that if so?
Well, we can put it in a project agenda. Nuna, I'm not sure if you are interested in a Azure specific provider investigation, given that you basically run a.
Interested? Sure. Just need to round up the troops to see when we can go full hands-on on it.
Cool. So I think like we cannot do any kind of pipeline deadlines here, but yeah, let's investigate together. And the thing is that we also will have to retest a lot of stuff. I think Dinar, you mentioned that the main goal is testing here, right? So, and our pipelines are not covering external calls, so we will have to do it like very end-to-end, correct? So I assume APSA will end-to-end test info blocks naturally. Millennium BCP can end-to-end test Azure Webhook later on, also almost naturally while integrating. So that's kind of stuff, but it's definitely not something we can easily bump. Dinar, what do you think? Like, do you want to somehow make it faster, or what's your take here?
No, I mean, yeah, 100%. At the same time, we must ensure that the provider implements that the same way we did now. The end-to-end test would be nice, but you know, as usual, it is expensive, and we can't do much on whether it's working or not. right? Because that would be a third-party component. The webhook is out of scope for KGB. So
But we
we
will need to be
must
sure that
be-
KGB works, right? So
yeah, but I mean, if the provider is broken, what you can do about that? Yeah, in terms of KGB.
well, not use it. Using tree.
Which is kind of dead thing. I mean, I'm not sure we need to put that in some sort of a pipeline or whatsoever. Just initial implementation test, yes. But then if it's broken, it's broken.
Well, I tend to disagree. Pipelines might be harder because of resources, but at least end-to-end exploratory test deployment in environment and validating that this specific webhook version works, it's a must, right? So that's what we did for external DNS implementation before. So okay.
Well, I think it's a kind of a scope of concern. I think the webhook must have a unit test or whatever integration test, end-to-end test, to be sure that whatever NS record is coming through, the zone must be created. That's where that kind of test needs to be done. KGB have nothing to do about that, from my point of view.
Well, conceptually, yes, practically not, because I'm personally very interested in a scenario where KGB just works, right? So if it fails for somebody with the DNS zone delegation configuration, I'm not going to say, sorry, like, look into webhook. I need to test it up front, because external DNS is pretty much integrated part of a current KGB setup next to core DNS, right? And the same stuff like core DNS is a part of it. I cannot say that, I don't care about core DNS stability or quality. So it's all mixed. But by kind of responsibility, API layering, I conceptually agree. Practically, we need to test everything. At least for the versions, right? I do not expect that we test the newest version of webhooks and all that stuff, but we need to test it from a KGB end-to-end flow standpoint. Agreed? Disagree?
No, that's fine. I just say that from kind of Infoblox point of view, we're making sure that we cover what's kind of in our case, right? So we covered A records, CNAME, and TXCs in our tests in the webhook.
That's from an implementation standpoint, yeah. And for KGB, it will be just integration. That's totally agree. Michal, to switch the screens, can you just open the document so we quickly go through the agenda, the rest of the agenda, and then you have a KGB project meeting open. Yeah. So what's there? So like we have minor things like scorecard pipeline is failing. It's part of this. What is that? Security scorecard and security slam activities, but currently it's like it doesn't block pipelines, but it for some reason fails in master. So we'll need to fix it eventually, but it's kind of a minor thing. Most probably something to fix before next release. Documented case, it was requested by Red Hat. So if anybody has time to put something in documentation, that's highly welcome.
Yeah, one thing is
Yeah.
Additionally, while my brain's still on a webhook,
Sure.
in a
Yeah,
webhook world, we discovered that a new GitHub action. It's release me please. This is awesome action actually, and it acts on a conventional commits and do the all release stuff for you just version bumps, and it's so like nice. So I wish KGB can use that action as well at some point.
Can you drop the link to this action in the document if you can? I shared the doc in a Zoom chat.
It's action from Google. Yeah, I will add it.
Yeah, just drop it there. Thank you. So we can check it out
okay.
later. Thanks a lot. Yeah, from PR standpoint, Nuna, so happy to have you here. I think we have nicely documented Azure DNS setup. So basically kind of full Azure public DNS support, right? The only thing I have concern of like a plain text secret exposure. And at the same time, I understand why you did it, because we're combining the secret, the resulting secret in external DNS. So I'm not sure like did you evaluate what we can do about it? Because obviously, like, you know, just a secret exposure might be not so nice. Yeah.
I found your suggestion to try to do something within the chart to handle this, but honestly, I think I need 5 minutes of your time to better understand your suggestion.
Okay, sure.
But I'll go after you to get that.
Guys, I'm very sorry. I must leave now. So please continue without me. I have to manage something. So see you.
Yeah,
Bye.
okay. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Yeah, let me share it back. Okay, so that stuff, right? So let's quickly. So the problem statement here, first thing first, why concern, right? Is that because we are doing this AD client secret as a in values YAML, right?
Yeah.
So basically, it's a direct exposure of sensitive stuff.
True.
So our usual like Kubernetes approach is to propagate it into secrets and read it from there. But if I recall, I did a review like a while ago. So you have this function, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you basically propagating the secret dynamically somewhere.
Yeah, it
Sorry, yes,
basically
here.
become
Yeah, so the problem here is that we need to propagate the data Azure JSON, and this Azure JSON contains of not only the secret, right, but all this, you know, Azure fun. So the question how to nicely combine it with the Helm chart capabilities, how to maybe read from secret as an input, but I'm not sure how to do it just by Helm chart, right?
true,
Because if you're
we can always probably we should provide the option of having the user push this through an existing secret and have someone take care of that, at least as an option, to stay away from this exposure of the secret for sure.
Yeah, so maybe we just like, you know, leave this composition, Helm-based composition as it is, and add an ability to reference existing already structured secret, right?
Yeah. With the JSON, yes.
Yeah, cool. Sounds like a plan. Dinar, maybe if you have like this some newest Helm chart magic trick, how to possibly avoid the secret exposure. If you need only like, you know, some high level ideas, you're dealing with Kubernetes stuff day to day. Basically, the thing is that we need to read one thing and one value, and then we are composing a more complex secret with a Helm chart. Is there any fancy way to read actually data from existing secret and then reuse it afterwards by just Helm templating capabilities. I'm not aware of any, but maybe you've seen something like that.
We completely switched to external secrets,
Mm.
and I
Yeah,
would
external
provide
secrets
an
are further.
option. Yeah, I would basically provide an option, use existing secret and let user to form it. So yeah, because the Helm chart is not for secret management.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Agreed.
Okay, just load it here. So agreed. Way to proceed. So yeah, thanks everyone. So no, if you can update it, then I can review it and we can merge it and publicly announce support. It would be great. Yeah, we have a new contributor, Andre. He's also from Portugal. He's currently on vacation, so he's keeping this meeting, but he contributed very core implementation, what we discussed a couple of meetings ago. So it's currently under test. I'm giving different things, and we also agreed that we extend the server test and test suite before the merge. But overall, the idea, so I think you guys were not in our last meeting when we discussed it. It's a way to detach the ingress from a Kubernetes GSLB, right, and ability to reference in a decoupled manner. And this enables all the nice capabilities. So it's a resource ref, like a kind of cross-plane style. You guys are aware how we're doing it in cross-plane. So basically, we're referencing one CR to another CR. And in this case, we are not tightly coupled with ingress implementation anymore. We can later on reference whatever Istio gateways, a standard service, whatever you like, assume we comply with the interface. So it basically, it will enable a whole new iteration of k8gb capabilities for to create this global load balancing, because we will not be tightly coupled to ingress anymore. So that's the idea. So any high-level feedback? You happy with that direction? Any concerns? All good?
No, this
Nice,
is cool.
nice,
Yeah,
nice.
Cool. Yeah, and yeah, so this is like a minor stuff. I got a feedback from community to bring up RFC doc up front. So if somebody have just 1 minute to review the documentation update, it will be helpful. So you're just stating the stuff to what Twitter added a while ago on RFC, so seamless DNS integration. Because basically I got a request from a community in discussions, like if you support band 9, and I just realized that yeah, it's part of our default make deploy, but it's so covered deeply in our implementation, and we don't discuss it in documentation, so we just put it up front. So trivial stuff, but useful. All right, so that's it. We already 10 minutes after the scheduled meeting. Thank you so much for joining, and see you in 2 weeks, hopefully.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Have a good
Always
day.
a pleasure.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Likewise.